Welcome to Mini Lecture 2C. Today we're tackling a critical yet often uncomfortable topic: microaggressions, toxicity, and disciplinary action in the laboratory. This isn't just about maintaining a pleasant workplace. It's about creating an effective, legally compliant, and ethically sound environment. As future lab managers, understanding these dynamics is crucial for both your team's well-being and your lab's productivity. This material directly relates to the personnel management and compliance sections of the BOC HTL exam, so pay close attention to the practical implications. We'll explore how subtle behaviors can escalate and what your role is in preventing that. Microaggressions are subtle, daily negative comments or behaviors that stem from conscious or unconscious bias. While they might seem minor individually, their cumulative impact is anything but. Think of it this way. Conscience bias is an intentional prejudice, like someone openly stating they don't like working with a particular group. Unconscious bias, however, operates outside our awareness, like favoring a job candidate because they share your hobbies. The critical takeaway here is that microaggressions, regardless of intent, limit access to opportunities and contribute to persistent disparities. They create a ripple effect that erodes trust and psychological safety in the workplace. Understanding this distinction is key to addressing these issues effectively, which we'll discuss next. Building on our definition, it's a common misconception that microaggressions are solely racial. In reality, they apply to a much broader spectrum: age, sex, gender, culture, religion, and socioeconomic status. Even seemingly innocent comments, if they stem from bias, can be microaggressions. For example, telling someone they look too young to be a doctor, or making good-natured fun of a male nurse are microaggressions. As a manager, your professional response is to intervene when you witness these behaviors. As an individual, it's perfectly acceptable to state, "That makes me uncomfortable." This isn't about being overly sensitive. It's about setting professional boundaries and fostering an inclusive environment, which is vital for a strong laboratory. A diverse laboratory isn't just a nice idea. It's a stronger laboratory, and the data consistently supports this. We're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, which means fair treatment and full participation for everyone, especially historically underrepresented groups. Inclusiveness ensures equal access to opportunities, making employees feel valued. The histotechnology lab historically has often been more diverse than any other hospital departments. For instance, the ASCP 2019 survey showed the average lab workforce is 80.9% female, with increasing minority representation. This diversity is a strength, but it requires active management to thrive. You'll find clear guidance from the ADA and Department of Labor on accommodations and compliance, which are essential tools for fostering this inclusive environment. This commitment to diversity helps prevent the kind of toxicity we'll discuss next. Toxicity in the workplace doesn't just appear overnight. It builds through distinct stages. It's a gradual erosion of a positive environment, making it difficult for employees to work or progress. The first stage is disappointment, characterized by small, recurring frustrations. These are often dismissed as minor, but if left unaddressed, they escalate. Next comes frustration, where resentment and tension begin to grow. People start to feel undervalued or unheard. Finally, we reach anger, marked by outbursts and confrontations. If this stage is unchecked, anger spreads, becoming a pervasive resentment that can infect the entire team. As future managers, recognizing these stages early is critical. Intervening at disappointment or frustration can prevent the full-blown anger that can devastate a lab's morale and productivity. Your physical presence in the lab sends a powerful message, and as a manager, you need to make sure it's the right one. This isn't just about being seen. It's about how your presence shapes the lab's culture. An approachable manager frequently walks through the lab, showing genuine interest in daily operations. This builds trust and connection with your team. Conversely, a manager who avoids the floor and keeps their office door shut creates an impression of unavailability. This can breed negativity and a perception that you don't care, which is a breeding ground for toxicity. Remember, a manager's actions or inactions can have a ripple effect throughout the entire lab. And this relates directly to the BOC HTL's exam's focus on leadership and personnel management. Next, we'll discuss how to respond when toxicity does arise. While you can't control what others do, you absolutely can control how you respond to toxic behavior. This is a critical management skill. First, learn to distinguish between true toxicity and someone just having a bad day. Everyone has those. Don't engage with someone who is clearly trying to upset you. If you see a problem brewing, step in early or move the conversation to a private setting. Avoid sensitive topics like politics or religion, as these often fuel conflict. Stay positive and patient, and try not to take things personally. If a situation escalates beyond your comfort level, don't hesitate to call another manager or security. Always follow your organization's policies for dangerous situations. This proactive approach to conflict resolution is vital for maintaining a healthy lab environment. Now, let's look at the formal tools you have for addressing performance issues. It's crucial to understand the difference between corrective action and disciplinary action, because using the wrong one can create significant legal problems for your facility. Corrective action is process-oriented. It's a documented process designed to improve behavior or performance when coaching hasn't worked. Think of it as a structured way to help an employee get back on track. Disciplinary action, on the other hand, is consequence-oriented. It's a reprimand for misconduct, a rule violation, or poor performance. This is about holding someone accountable for a specific infraction. The key for both is documentation. Every action, every conversation must be documented and stored securely, following your facility's policies. This protects both the employee and the organization. Understanding this distinction is vital for the BOC HTL exam. Next, we'll explore how these actions fit into a progressive discipline model. Most facilities follow a progressive discipline model, often called a three strikes approach. But it's important to know that some violations can skip steps. This model typically starts with a verbal warning, which is corrective. If the issue persists, it moves to a first written warning, then a second, and sometimes a third, all still corrective in nature. These steps aim to guide the employee towards improvement. However, for grievance violations like physical assault or intentional patient harm, the corrective process is bypassed entirely. These serious infractions jump directly to disciplinary action, such as suspension or termination. Understanding this progress and its exceptions is essential for fair and legally sound management. Now, let's consider how different approaches to the same behavior can lead to a very different outcomes. When we talk about discipline, it's crucial to understand that not all infractions are handled the same way. The severity of the behavior dictates where you enter the progressive discipline process. As we saw with progressive discipline, minor issues like repeatedly writing the date incorrectly on logs might start with a verbal warning, then move to written warnings, with each step documented and acknowledged. But what happens when the behavior is more serious? If an employee threatens a coworker, that's a grievous violation. This kind of conduct bypasses the initial corrective steps entirely. It leads directly to immediate suspension and potential termination. This distinction is vital for managers to understand, ensuring fairness and maintaining a safe workplace. It's about matching the response to the impact of the action, which brings us to our next point about ethical guidance. So how do you decide where an action falls on that spectrum of severity? This is where your professional code of ethics becomes your indispensable compass. The ASCLS Code of Ethics provides a clear framework. Be honest, act with integrity, accept accountability, ensure equal access to services, and maintain confidentiality. These aren't just abstract ideals. They are practical guidelines for every decision you make, from handling minor disagreements to implementing disciplinary actions. When the path ahead is unclear, these 5 principles should guide your judgment. They apply universally to every situation we've discussed in this chapter, and they are the foundation for navigating complex workplace issues. Understanding these ethical principles is key to making sound management decisions, which directly ties into the management and communication domains of the BOC HTL exam. This chapter, covering professionalism, communication, and conflict resolution, maps directly to the management and communication domains, as I've said, on the BOC HTL exam. The exam will test your ability to navigate communication barriers, build trust, and resolve conflicts professionally. We've covered key terms like microaggressions, conscious and unconscious bias, toxic workplaces, and the differences between corrective and disciplinary action. Remember, communication is a skill that requires constant practice. Conflict is inevitable, but with the right tools, it can be managed effectively. Ultimately, everything in this chapter boils down to one fundamental principle: respect. Respect for your colleagues, your patients, and your profession. Mastering these concepts will not only prepare you for the exam, but also for a successful career in laboratory leadership. See you next time.